Ni hao fellas, today we're looking at my Bloodbourne inspired Charnel Guard. Gonna show you how to make one of these collapsible chainsword spears and my regular battle boys. Let's get to it. So, first off, you need to assemble your minis. And today, for the first figure, I'll be using the Sanguinary Guard because, well, this entire set is from the new Blood Angels, and 3 of my Sanguinary Guard will be holding these trick weapon inspired spears. So, that's the first guy we're going to make today. I started off by cutting my model pieces from the sprue and setting them aside for cleanup. This is where I can clean up the mold lines and any imperfections in the piece itself. This is because it looks nicer and it also fits together properly, because sometimes they need a little bit more cleanup so it fits together snugly. I then glued the pieces together, all but the arms, because I'm going to make the weapon separately, just so I know that it works. Also, don't forget to dry fit your models just so you know that they fit together. What I'm doing here is that I'm looking for spare pieces to stick on my guide to make it much more personalised. I'm also looking for a chainsword piece in my spare parts, so I can sand that down and turn it into the weapon. Now, who are the Charnel Guard, I hear you ask? Well, the Charnel Guard are a loyalist successor chapter of the Blood Angels, which basically means they're space vampires, but nobody really likes these guys. With your Blood Angels being your sexy Edward Cullen kind of guys, and the Charnel Guard being more of your Nosferatu, undead, ghoul kind of guys. They are a fleet-based chapter known to go into hypersleep between battles, so when they wake up they are hungry as fuck. Which they are also known to chow down on anything and everyone, friends included. This has gotten them in trouble with the Imperium many times, which leads them to speculate, wait, are these guys on our side? The answer is yes, but also no. They just love killing, and the colour scheme is cool as fuck, hence the Bloodbourne theme. I usually hate painting in metallics, which is why I've made my regular guys non-metallic metal. But saying this, I want my Sanguinary Guard to look like rusted silver, like the weapons in Bloodbourne would look. Once I had the main body assembled, I tested to see what pose I liked by using blue tack to stick them temporarily to the body. To make the hinge that the chainsword will rotate from, I took apart these sprue tab thingies in the corners that I'm pointing at right now, and cut them down to shape so I can drill a hole through it and then cut it in half. I then took an old paperclip to glue inside the hole so that the chainsword can spin around it, capping it off with the other part. This next bit was fucking awful to do. Basically, I needed to make a little bracket so that when the blade spins around it, it could stop in place. I also needed to drill a hole near the hand so that when the blade collapses down, it could stop in place as well. This did take me a while to do. I've been through a couple of iterations of this, but I'm at that point where I think I can successfully just do it whenever. I will try again after I've made this one. So yeah, it is difficult, it is finicky, and you get a lot of glue over your hands because you need super glue for the paperclip to stick to the plastic. But hey, it looks good. Also, it makes it so much easier to travel around with it, so it just doesn't break off. And also it's just Bloodbourne themed, and I love Bloodbourne. If you want to see more Bloodbourne content, click this video in the corner. Not sure whereabouts, but click it now. I've got to give credit where credit is due. I first got my idea to do this from the Lich's Laboratory video on the Charnel Guard, and since watching that video, I've become a little bit obsessed with it. So I've got to give thanks to that guy because he's really fucking cool. Give that guy a watch, and he just inspired me to create my entire army. Also, if you guys enjoy this Warhammer content, please let me know, because I've been into Warhammer for about 2 years now, and I love making models, so if you guys like it, just let me know and I'll do more. As you can probably tell, this figure is assembled how I usually do my minis. I make the body first and then try the arm poses to see if it looks nice. So, the other day, I was perusing, my local Warhammer shop, and I saw my favourite box set, which is the Inner Circle Companions, and I was thinking, well, the Charnel Guard use really old equipment, such as Mark 7 heads, and in this set there's a really cool hooded Mark 7 head, which I use for a Captain Titus Kitbash not long back. So I picked it up and use that head. And it has my favorite piece in the entire world. It's like this cool, like big sword that's like mounted on the end of the backpack. One of my figures in my army already have this. I'll put pictures on it now. But yeah, this set's really fucking cool. Also, Dark Angel sets are, in my opinion, like the perfect balance between grim dark future and fantasy. So using sets like these are really cool to have like a Bloodbourne aesthetic. I also finally changed out my my blade here. I did cut myself just a little bit on my thumb, but like, it comes with the hobby. As for the arms, I didn't really want to have my guy doing anything too dynamic, mainly because I really wanted to show off the armor when I paint it. So I gave him a little defensive pose. A little defensive pose with his chainsaw out. And just like that, the model is done. This next figure wasn't really meant to be in this video. I saw I had a couple more pieces laying around and I thought, you know, fuck it, I might as well. This piece here was from the Halloween Blood Bowl set. I thought it was pretty cool because it's a tombstone, and I have also lost the legs for my jump pack guy, so this is going to be the rock that the person's standing on to make it look like they're flying. Now, this did take a lot of clipping away, and I would have had the entire thing, but for whatever reason, it had half of a chunk missing out of it, so I had to kind of, not weather it down, but make it a little more tombstone-y, because it had that pumpkin on the side, which was a little cartoonish. I liked it. It was a cool pumpkin, and I fuck with pumpkins, but it just didn't fit, so I had to clip that away. And I'll also just kind of clean up the tombstone, because it's just one huge mess of plastic. But I ended up getting it looking pretty good. After I've done my size comparison with my regular sanguinary guard, I make sure that it's tall enough, and then I pin the foot in, just so like it gives it a little bit more level of contact, so it just doesn't snap. This right here is what we call sprue goo. It's Tamiya cement, just like thin glue, whatever the fuck, with like a ton of sprues inside. And what that does is that you can just paint it onto things, and it will harden. So if you've got any like cracks or just things you need to fill in, you can't be asked making green stuff or Mellaport or any of that, sprue goo is pretty good. It's also a cool way to like glue your models together. But it's also just kind of like a filler. So that's the body so far. Now let's get to the arms. The idea I had for this figure was kind of based off the Grim Reaper, and I have a bunch of scythes left over, so I thought giving him a scythe would be pretty cool. And plus the hood also really sells the whole Grim Reaper of, you know, feel, and the tombstone too. So just went with the scythe, felt right, looks cool, hell yeah. Now I got these wings from a Scourge box set, and they also come with some really cool bat wings as well, but I felt the feathers just fit better, it looked nicer in my opinion. Also getting it to fit together was very irritating, because you have to really kind of rotate them, so it just doesn't look stupid, because there was times where the wings stuck out too much and they just didn't really have that silhouette that I wanted. But I eventually got it to like a cool looking pose. I also did end up turning the wings around, like flipping them. So yeah, that's the Grim Reaper Charnel Guard guy. Now let's get to the painting, I guess. So, apologies if I sound weird. I had my tonsils removed like 2 weeks ago, so I'm still recovering. But anyway, I started off by doing a grey dry brush to kind of make it not black, because, you know, it's good to have that texture in there. And I started my best to do some edge highlights. I'm not the greatest at doing it, but from a distance it looks pretty good. And I picked out the red parts using a mix of like dark red and a bit of brown to make that burgundy colour, and then I try my best to smoke. Like, this is not the best model that I've made, like painted, just because, you know, I was still in recovery as I was doing this one. But, you know, I picked out the browns, which, you know, in the end I highlighted them a little bit more, so they look a lot nice. The eyes were a bitch to do, but they are blue because it contrasts well with the red and stuff. As for the Sanguinary Guard, I started off by doing a dry brush again with bronze. Any sort of bronze would work. Gold is pretty good, and then I picked out the lighter highlights with a silver. Lead belcher would have also worked, but this was just kind of the closest thing that I had. And once we've picked out all the shiny parts that we would like, we started prepping our verdigris double down copper oxidized wash. And how you do that, you get a cup of warm water, you leave the bottle in the warm water for a while, and then you give it a good old shake, and then you just apply it. And after an hour, I usually leave mine a day. I paint them and I put them aside. It should oxidize pretty well, and then I dry brushed it again with some more copper, and then I picked out the red parts, and that's the model.